Ladies and gentlemen, we are live in living color. Welcome to another fantastic episode of This Week in Reselling, where I have a little help with my friends. Here we'll discuss the highs and lows in reselling and dive into great conversation. We are positive that you're going to hear something, at least something, that's going to help you become a better reseller. I'm your host, Ray, and I'm joined with three of the best co-hosts on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Brendan with Big Time Flip. Brendan, are you ready?
Yeah,
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. We have Joe with I Flip That.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
We have Kristen, a real squirrel.
Girl is on fire.
And we have Brendan, Big Time Flip.
Hey.
There it is.
Nice.
There it is. And ladies and gentlemen, today's guest on the podcast, none other than our girl, Mary McQueen?
Yes, McQueen. Yes.
McQueen. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary McQueen. We need an applause button. I think I'm gonna put that on the
cheer.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, a cheer or applause. So Mary is the mastermind behind the Mike Metco meetups, like social media team, if you will. Mary is the social media team. So I know that you're affiliated with our boy Mike Camparelli. Shout out to Mike. So,
Right.
Mary, we really wanted to have you on the podcast because you have a really interesting story. I know that you got to do, what do they call it? Like the yell, the cheer, the
hype, debt-free scream.
The debt-free scream.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, for the Dave Ramsey. And so people that don't know that if you go through like the Dave Ramsey like financial freedom thing and it helps you become debt-free, you get to go on this show and do like this debt-free thing, right, Mary?
Yes.
And to you getting to that point, was it reselling that kind of like helped you get along and like become quote unquote like debt-free?
Yes. Reselling definitely helped me. I started out just selling my own items. You know, when I looked at how deep into debt I was in 2015, I was already selling some of my own things, but then I was like, I have to do something about this, you know? And so I kept selling. I started walking dogs. I did some direct sales, and then eventually I did start actually reselling because, you know, I started to find things on YouTube and stuff. But
Mary, did you do all that like part-time? Did you have like a full-time gig when you were doing that too?
Yes. I'm still in the same job. I'm a legal admin for a chemical company.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that helped as well. And I lose my job in 2020. We all came home, but I did not. I was fortunate that I wasn't in a job that, you know, was lost. So I did get lucky there.
So Mary, just give us a little brief introduction on like who you are. Like you said, you know, in 2015, you figured out, you kind of like took a snapshot of your life and been like, man, I need to get out of this debt. And then from you doing all these odd jobs to kind of gain some finances that way to pay off some of that debt. And then shortly, finding reselling and doing that. So just kind of give us like the brief introduction of who Mary is, like how you got into reselling, what platforms you sell on, all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, I will preface this by saying I when I was married, we actually headed Financial Peace University at our church. This was
fantastic.
Like 2007. And so we were actually getting out of debt at that time and trying. And then in 2012, I was no longer married. And then I went off the complete deep end, which was awesome. And then, and then in 2015, it was like, okay, you know, let's regroup here. You know?
So Mary's like, no regrets.
No regrets.
Right. So there was no excuse for me to be, you know, but that just goes to show that even if you flub up a little bit, you know, just go where, you know, take it back, just start back up again, you know. So I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, for sure. And so you found out, like, again, you took inventory of what was going on in your life, and then you're like, okay, I got to get out of debt. And then from there, you started finding different avenues on how to get out of debt, and you've stumbled upon reselling. Could you give us a little bit of that introduction of how you came about, like what you started selling, like, because I mean, if it's 2015, you haven't really started. Like, when did you start reselling? And just kind of give us a little info on that.
I was selling my own things in 2015. I had a whole garage full of stuff. I had gone from a 3-bedroom, 3-story house to a 1-bedroom, 1-story apartment. And so I had too much stuff. But then in 2018, I actually went, kind of started finding some YouTube videos. So at this point, I was selling on eBay. So at least I knew how to sell things online, by the time I started reselling. So then that's when I started going to the thrift stores and the garage sales and started finding things. And I do remember the first thing I sold, it was a Muppet from the Muppets, an animal figure.
Oh.
But by that time I was following my friend Dominic, Primetime Treasure Hunter. He was one of the first resellers I found. I was following him. I remember I was following him by the time he had 3,000 subs. So we're going back a little. Well, I guess 7 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, guess what? But it was cool because it was somebody who was excited. And you all know, not every random person is excited about what we sell. We sold something.
Really? You don't have that reaction with every person you meet?
Right. Let me show you.
Yeah, not at all.
So, but, and then, I kept, I just kept going to the thrift store, and I would buy pretty much anything. And then eventually I evolved into, here just in the last couple of years, I evolved into a little more RA, retail arbitrage, of course. Mm-hmm. And now I do more of that. I'll still go to a thrift store, a garage sale every now and then, but I do a little bit more RA. And I don't sell on eBay anymore. I just sell on Mercari and Poshmark and First Class Treasures. And then I just recently got approved to sell on some of the DibDip platforms.
First Class Treasures, that's another district.
Yes.
Marketplace.
That's a J-Ride Flips. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. Shout out to J-Ride.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, retail arbitrage, what made you fall into that route?
I feel like when I would go to garage sales, I was attracted to the new items.
Oh, yeah.
We've all done it. We get something home from a garage sale and it looks new, and then we find bugs in it, or, and I don't, I mean, it's fine, but it's not like I have a shed or I work out of a spare bedroom. And so I think every now and then that got me a little bit freaked out. Now most of the things I bought were fine, but I did find myself attracted to more of the newer things. So I found myself watching a little bit more RA videos. Like there's a creator that I watch called Millennial Prophet, and he lives across town from me. So I found him, and he did a lot of that kind of stuff. I haven't met him. I have met some of the sellers in Ohio, but I haven't met him yet. But so I did find people, but I definitely watch all the thrifting, and I still enjoy all that content as well. You have more of that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you targeting when you do your arbitrage? What are you looking for when you're at the stores to resell?
Joe wants free leads. That's why he's asking.
What was that?
I said Joe wants free leads. That's why he's asking.
Yes.
That's why we do the show. So we get all
those
nuggets.
Hold on a second. We were going to Marshall's, and this guy was walking out last night with probably 7 full huge bags of stuff. And we could not figure out, it looked like there were shoes, but there was other stuff. But Nicole's like, retail arbitrage. And I'm like, yeah, I should have stopped and be like, what the heck did you just buy? Because there was 7 huge bags.
I used to go there for cleats. I used to get cleats there all the time. But
and Marshalls. Yeah,
and the ones here now, they're not great. So I stopped going.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, there are a lot of shoe sellers. I follow Hustler Hacks, and he's a shoe seller, and Ken the Hustle Bee is a shoe seller. But I like baby blankets and sheet sets. So
Oh, love linen. That's
oh, anybody is selling those. But that's what I don't even know how I wound up falling into those, but those are my favorite things for RA, because you do hear RA sellers, where they're going state to state buying shampoo and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, those are things. But I'll look around the rest of the store, but baby blankets are probably my favorite. And so I'm learning the brands. Well, yeah, but you're always learning new brands.
yeah, Aiden
Baby
and Annis, all those. Yep.
Yeah.
What is like a good baby blanket brand?
I really like a Adirondack Baby by Berkshire. I really like Berkshire sheets.
Mhm.
Yeah, Tahari Baby, Bear Paw.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of my favorites.
Do you find those often though?
Yeah, the Adirondack I find.
Yeah, I guess I have to remember that you're retail arbitrage, and I'm like, I don't see that very often at the bins.
No, not at all.
My bin is about 45 minutes away, and are you guys familiar with Bolo Buddies? She has a pretty big.
Oh yeah,
Bolo
yeah.
Buddies.
Yeah, she and I went to the bins one time. That was my first trip to the bins. I actually used to do consignment for her for a while, and then that ended. But we actually went to the bins, and I think at that time I was kind of realizing that maybe I liked new a little better, but
That'd do it. That'll tip you over the edge for sure.
So Nashville was my son's first time, but it was only my second time at the bins ever.
Shout out to Joe, that handsome young man.
He is a sweetie, isn't he?
Yeah. So that was the first. So that was Joe's first time at the bins, and
Yeah.
your second time at the bins.
Right.
So what did you? So the balloons. So from someone that just likes new to being in the bins for the second time, like, what did you think, Mary?
I'm gonna say I was there for the company. I did look around, and I did pick one thing up, and then I put it back down. But I wanted to be in the cart watcher. I was watching Goodwater Pickers cart and Carolyn.
Shout out to Andrew. Yeah.
And then I was watching Rocky Top Pickers and CJ Benz Finds, Jefferson and Ben. I was watching their cart. So I designated myself the cart watcher. So I just kind of watched the madness. But when the bins came out and all the people were gathered around, I wasn't any part of that. I was over. So yeah, I'm maybe just a little wimpy for that. But I was looking in the other ones where all the people weren't gathered around. So I'm not scared of it. It's just it seems like I just,
it's a little much sometimes. Yeah.
Like Chris and I heard, they in Nashville, they were saying what an amazing picker. Hello, you and Angie are. And yeah. So
that's my favorite place to thrift is to go to the bins. This is my favorite place, but
okay. Well, and at garage sales, you guys were just finding amazing things. And so
we did pretty good, but I mean, that's the first time I've been to a garage sale in probably 4 or 5 years. So,
Wow.
Kristen, when I took you garage sailing.
Oh yeah, that was what
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
Yeah, probably
2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go that often. I don't like the driving around and getting lost. Go to one place and find all my stuff.
Yeah. Kristen, do you want to share what you found at the bins recently, or do we want to save it at the After Dark episode?
We'll save it for the After Dark episode.
It might be what
that
would you
bad?
say, the find of
It's according to the limited research that I've done and with the help of Ray, it might be one of the best finds I've had maybe ever. Yeah. I'm kind of excited.
teaser there, ladies and gentlemen. But,
have to wait till After Dark.
yeah, but Mary, what about not that you don't have like a love for used things, but what about the new stuff do you like better than, let's say, selling used stuff? Because if you find used stuff, you can be able to pay cheaper and you're buying new stuff, so maybe the profit margin isn't the best. So what made you want to do more retail arbitrage than doing just like us finding junk in the bins.
And I am not opposed to that either. I think one thing, I could go any time, whereas as the garage sales are mainly Friday and Saturday around here, I could go on my lunch break any day of the week. Like, for instance, Ross on Tuesdays is senior day, and you only have to be 5. So
Yeah.
Yes,
I get
girl.
a discount on Tuesdays.
That's right. Go
Yeah.
get your free coffee and go shopping.
Ross is where it's at. Love Ross.
yeah. Ross is good. I've kind of gotten derailed. You'll find that I'll get derailed.
You're fine. We all get a little derailed sometimes.
This show derails every week.
Every
so
episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mary,
Yeah.
how did you get connected with Mike then? How did that
Yeah.
relationship start?
So I met Mike in Crossville at the meetup last year. Caleb and it was the Pick in the Plateau sponsored by the two old guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
And so several of us met at the bowling alley the night before. And so I met Mike at the bowling alley, and then we all hung out all weekend. It was great. Not only did we hang out at the meetup, we hung out in the Airbnb. And so, we just, we all became friends. And when Mike put out his video, I thought it was such a great idea. And I used to work for a band in town, and I ran their Facebook page and I wrote their newsletter.
Wow.
Yeah. And I used to put together concerts. So I had the promoting page. I put together concerts.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I have this promoting thing in me.
Yeah.
So now all my concerts were fundraisers, either for the military or for pet rescue. So I wasn't making any money off those, which was totally fine, but they did take a lot of time. And meanwhile, as we previously stated, I was drowning. So I kind of had to move forward a little bit. But so that I thought, well, I'm going to see if Mike needs any help, because I still really like to promote. So I emailed him, and next thing I know, I'm co-hosting on his channel. I'm running the Facebook page, the Instagram page. And yeah, that was how we met in Crossville.
Wow.
So I just sent him an email and asked if I could help.
That's super cool.
That is great. Yeah.
He's like, here, handle all this.
All of it.
Glad you
'Cause I
asked.
don't know how to do it. Well, you know what? Here's the thing about Mike, and I love Mike, and I'm not going to say anything bad, so don't get it twisted. So, Mike is like, I don't know, like, this YouTube thing isn't my thing, like all this and that. Dude's like a YouTube star. He's over there doing like live recordings and all this. Like, he's like feeds off of, you know what I mean? Like, he thinks he's not, but he really is.
But
like,
he
knows,
really is.
you know what I mean? So,
But he's got that Riz, he's got the
He does.
energy and the vibe that people gravitate towards. So I think that helps him.
And he has a passion. He really has a passion for the meetups and the connections and the friendships.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So,
It is the best part.
Mary, let's get back into your story just a little bit. So, from the time that you figured out that you needed to get out of debt to the time that you got out of debt, what was that time frame? Because the reason why I ask is there's people that are probably listening or watching this right now, and they've probably have fallen into the same thing that you did, where you took a kind of a snapshot of your life and said, man, I need to get out of debt. Reselling is going to help me get out of debt. What was that time frame from you realizing to you actually doing it, so you can kind of give a perspective to someone that's might be listening and watching?
Well, from 2015, when I really started to focus back again, where I'd focused years before, when I focused this time and actually achieved it, was January 2015 to January 2020. So January 3rd, 2020 is when I got out of debt. That was when I made my last payment, and I have never looked back. I have never looked back. I don't do credit cards. I don't do any of it. If I can't pay cash, it's not happening.
Yeah. So 5 years.
But yeah, it took me 5 years, and it was I'll just say this just in case anybody else can relate. It was $49,075, and I did that by myself.
Wow.
So,
Where's
I'd be-
5 years?
Might have been able to pay it off faster, but I
Yeah.
paid it off. It was what it was. That's how long it took me.
I'd be doing a Scream too if I got out of that much money, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. It was pretty exciting. I emailed Dave Ramsey Show right away because that is what I had wanted to do. I had been following him since maybe 2008 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I have major stage fright. So I'm starting to get a little bit better since I've been doing these videos with Mike, but I'm still, you guys, I'm not great at this on-screen thing.
You're not bad. You're doing great.
Neither
Yeah.
are we, so you're all right.
But I knew I would be terrified, but it's like, I have to do this. So anyway, I put in my,
People can watch.
I forgot about that, Ray. You know what? I'm going to write that down. So actually I went, he's in Franklin, Tennessee. And so, you make an appointment to go in and you stand up in front of Dave, and it was Ken Coleman that was on with him that day. And he interviews you. It's solo. So he interviews you. Now there are people in the lobby watching the show, and you can bring a guest or your family or whatever. And he interviews you, and then you stand up there and go, "I'm debt free." You literally, "I'm debt free." So there are people there, and I tell you, when they got me mic'd up for a split second, it's like, I am not doing this. This is not happening. I am terrified. No, I thought I was going to tear those mics off and run out the door. But I thought that'd be a bad look, and I was afraid they wouldn't invite me back. And it's just stand here. What's the worst that could happen? And it was fine. It was fine. So anyway, that's what happens. Yeah, you just you schedule an appointment and go in.
Did your son go with you?
No, my boyfriend at the time did.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would have been cool. You know what? Joe was still in California at that time, because he stayed in California after he got out of the Marine Corps. So he was actually still in California at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't go with me.
That if anybody has the opportunity to go and check out the Ramsey facility, it's pretty cool. I know I have several friends that work for Ramsey, and they do this thing at the end of the year called Battle of the Bands, where all the employees can like we live in Nashville, so everyone knows how to play an instrument. So literally like 20 bands that are all employees, and they like literally you can like vote, but they go all out. There's like a whiskey bar and like a cigar bar, and it's like they do catering and all that stuff. It's super fun. But I think if you have an opportunity to go down there, it's because I think you can take tours and do all that stuff if you're in the area. So but Mary, back to let's take a little step back and just kind of, if someone's listening, what were some practical things that you did to help you get out of debt that reselling helped, just some practicalities that you can tell people that might want to, maybe they're not $49,000 in the hole, maybe they're just, they want to, pay off their car loan, or they want to, do something that's just like a little more easily maintainable. What's something that you did that was super practical that you could tell somebody to do if they're listening?
Well, first off, I would suggest listening to Dave Ramsey. You can get all free content. He has paid content, but there's a ton of free content. And I would initially follow the baby steps. The baby step one is quickly save $1,000, whether you sell your own stuff or pick up a side hustle or whatever. But and when you're getting out of debt, you're definitely going to want to go to the garage sales and get the 50-cent items. I mean, during that time, for instance, I bought a little Boyd's Bear for 50 cents at a garage sale and sold it for $90.
Wow, a Boyd's Bear. Okay.
Yeah, one of the little mini message plush ones.
Some of them are still pretty hot.
Huh.
Yeah, the mini messages are good. So yeah, this one was called Spook. I'm going like this because it was seriously this big, and yeah, that one was called Spooky. So yeah, you're probably not going to want to go out and and do high dollar retail arbitrage stuff. but yeah, save your $1,000 and then in his baby steps. I know you're talking practical, but partly having to do with reselling.
Yeah.
He suggests that you pay off your smallest debt first, not your highest interest, not whatever, smallest debt, because you want quick wins. So that would relate to reselling is where, okay, you do buy this little 50-cent bear. You go and buy this 25-cent thing. I sold a $3 Walkman for $100. Little wins where 50 cents is probably not changing your life if you're not $49,000 in debt, or even if you're not, 50 cents, but $90 can buy your groceries.
Yeah.
Get that immediate gratification.
Yeah. And the $1,000 emergency fund, the point is to try to stack that up quickly so that you aren't putting things back on your credit card while you're trying to get out of debt. And $1,000 doesn't pay for all emergencies, but it would pay for a lot of the smaller, a lot of the smaller things. The point is to not keep getting further and further in debt. So yeah, or any side hustles. I walked dogs during that time. I would sometimes, I start work at 6:30 and I would walk a dog at 6 a.m. I'd walk a dog at lunch and I'd walk a dog after work,
That's awesome.
So that was just something else that I did. There are so many opportunities now with all these apps.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you say to somebody that's not motivated and lazy and still wants to get out of debt?
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because some people can talk the talk, but when the rubber meets the road, they fall short.
But try. I know it's nice to live in the now, but you kind of think about your future. I was really late, starting out my retirement because of this. I'm working on it now, but I was really late. So, I know there's something where it's like live in the now, or I can't remember what that's called, but you try to think about your future self. I mean, do you really want to be in debt and just
have to work until you're 90?
Yeah, until you're 90,
Get that.
not be able to afford a decent place to live. So
Right.
I guess that could be some kind of motivation. And another motivation, if you're lazy, but maybe you have a giving heart, one day you'd be able to give a little bit more. That's another thing Dave Ramsey is really big on is, baby step 7 is, to just be able to give, after you pay off your house. Now I live in an apartment, but that's one of the baby steps is paying off your house. That's after you get, all your emergency fund and everything else taken care of. So yeah, I'd say get unlazy.
Step 1. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
My family we're all pretty much like this. So I don't do a lot of lazy, a lot of tolerance for lazy.
I'm not a very good sit stiller.
Right. So I'd say if you're watching or listening, if you're going to start reselling, don't go out and buy a $300 toy saxophone like Joe did.
$500.
It was 500.
Well, he got it.
It was 500.
I thought you got it for a deal. I thought you got it.
I
for a
did.
deal.
It was just a little under 500. That's better
wow.
than the $550 to $600 they're all listed for right now. So
I guess.
Is yours listed now, Joe?
yes.
Good.
That was the first thing he lists.
And of course, there's like 7 others that are listed, and it's like, where were they like a month ago when I was trying to find one, and I have to buy one from the UK? Yeah, it'll sell, but
Yeah.
But you probably have your reselling budget, your business account, you've allotted for that, that kind of expenditure to wait until it sells,
Yeah.
And certainly not everybody has to run their business like I do. I've decided to run it this way because I misbehaved in the past, and I probably wouldn't misbehave now, but I'm just not taking any chances.
Yeah. I hear you.
Want to retire?
So Mary, I know that you said you're out of debt now. Like, is that your motivation to keep reselling and just kind of like not necessarily like be playing catch up, but just making sure that your future can be as good as it can be, and you're just like looking at way ahead. You're like, I can stop reselling, but I can continue to do it and make a little bit more money, and then basically invest it into my future, not having to work and into the retirement and all that good stuff.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm working on now is retirement. My job pays my bills, but the reselling money, yes, I'm investing that, and that's what helps me, like go to these meetups.
Yeah.
It's kind of more that fun money, but it also definitely helps invest for the future, because I'm clearly trying to invest more now because I am behind. So yeah, and I just love it, and I love the community, and I love hanging out with the people, and I've loved being part of Mike's channel, and so I just really like it. So even if I retire from my job, which I really do actually like my job, and I'm remote, so I really do like it. And I've been with the company for 27
Wow.
years.
Wow.
I was a contractor for the first 12 because I wanted to be able to raise my kids. So they worked around my schedule, going to the tennis games and getting the kids off to school, being home for the kids. And they, and I always had multiple jobs. I mean, I was a crossing guard. I worked on the weekends for Frito-Lay. I did all kinds of, side hustles during that time, but I was able to be at the tennis and the gymnastics and all that stuff. But, so anyway, but then in 2010, luckily there was a job in the department I was in, which was legal, that came open, and so I was able to get that job. Now that job has definitely evolved since then, but I'm still legal. So I think that had I not been a temp, I don't know if I was able to just slide, kind of work my way into this job. I think that really helped staying with the company.
Yeah.
What was the weirdest side hustle thing that you've done? You said you worked for Frito-Lay for a little bit. That's not easy.
Yeah, I was an extra. I can't remember. I think I was called an extra. On the weekends, what I did was stock the promotions. So the salesman would come in the morning, and then I'd go in the afternoon and stock the promotions. And I wound up meeting the guy at a wedding, and he was, I'm going to say 6'7", and I'm 5'2" on my tall days. And so he would stack these things up to the ceiling, and I'm climbing on the cart, and he looked at me. He's like, "Oh my gosh." So yeah, I didn't have to stock everything, but I had to stock the promotions, because you get in there about 2:00 in the afternoon, and the promotions have started running low. So I did that for about a year and a half. But crossing guard, I worked at Hallmark. I delivered papers. The weird, I guess, dog walking isn't really that weird. I'm not sure if there was a really weird one I can think of. Somebody did ask me if I got paid to be a crossing guard. I said, well, no, they did have to pay me to throw myself out in front of traffic. I don't know.
Got a diverse background, though.
Yeah.
Your pedigree is lots of different things. That's cool.
Like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Right.
What was your favorite side hustle job that you've done, Mary?
I'm going to say the reselling.
Yeah.
Because you really can make it your own, and you don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. I mean, yes, you have to ship. Yes, you have to list, but like I said, I work at 6:30, but sometimes I'm up till 12 or 12:30 working on reselling, and you can do it anytime you want. So I like the flexibility. With the dog walks, once you committed to the dog walk, you had to be there at a certain time.
Yeah.
Crossing guard, you couldn't just go whenever you wanted. You had to be there when the kids were there. Now delivering papers was flexible-ish, but you still had to get them out by a certain time.
Were you picking them up in the middle of the night and like stuffing the coupons in them and binding them with the rubber band and then taking them out? You had to do like all of that?
I didn't do well, it's called the Columbus Dispatcher. I didn't do the big paper with the Sunday coupons. I did the midweek paper, and then I did the ad bags. But they would drop them off to me, but I did have to stuff them, and that took a long time.
Forever.
And that would be after I got home from work,
Yeah. It's like, oh, I gotta stuff these papers.
Yeah. And then you had to do like
papers.
You had to do like the Black Friday ads and everything too, and stuff them, didn't you?
Yeah. Black Friday was typically in the regular Sunday papers, but there were times where you'd have 8, 9, 10 ads to stuff in these bags, with the ad bags. So yeah, it took a long time. So,
do you ever have a dog bite you when you were like walking the dog? Like if a Frenchie or a blue heeler biting you?
What are you implying?
Ankle biter?
Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Or raised
or
dog.
Chihuahua?
No dog ever bit me, but I did have some growl at me, and I had some run up the stairs after there was one, I got him out of the crate, and it was a Great Dane.
Oh wow.
He ran up the stairs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this dog is going to eat me, and I'm never going to be heard from again. I don't know how I got him back downstairs, but he would not let me get near him with that leash. And there were only a couple that they literally just would not let me get the leash on. But as long as I went and tried, I would still get paid. But I would always give it my best shot. But then there were some where I just loved. There was one I walked Monday through Friday. That was a steady job, Monday through Friday on my lunch break. So I walked that dog for quite a while. There was another one I walked every Tuesday. And so you got to really like these dogs. I lost my last dog in 2015. So, and I haven't gotten another dog since then. So, but no, luckily none of them ever bit me, but I felt like I was close sometimes.
Yeah.
You gotta smack him around a little bit, like Joe does.
Yeah, or bite him back. Bite the dog's back.
Yeah, bite him back.
Right.
But I'm sure you guys have worked, the fact that you work for yourselves, even if you're working another job, I feel like if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, you probably have all tried other things over time.
Oh yeah.
Huh. What was this is a great question. What was everyone's oddest job that you've ever done?
I mean, that's a hard question. If I think back we've been in the working world for a really long time, some of us.
Yeah. Mine was, Mary, I know that I've said this before, but mine was my first job was waking up at 4 a.m. to cook sausage biscuits for a little country store in the morning and cooking fried chicken.
Okay.
So I had to do both of those.
Sounds really good. I
had to learn how to make fresh buttermilk biscuits. And I was like 19 at the time. So wake up just getting like 2 hours worth of sleep, like rolling out biscuits,
So next year at the meetup, you can make us breakfast every morning. Man.
I can make a fire buttermilk biscuit, Brendan. I can.
Where were they last week?
Yeah.
Why do we got to wait another year?
Why you got to tell us about it now?
That's what I
know.
want.
Yeah.
I know.
We're all like, where should we go for breakfast? And Ray's sitting over there going, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know.
Let's eat at the hotel.
At the hotel.
It'll be Ray's Airbnb,
Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming to your house next time.
I bet Brendan's had some odd jobs.
Yeah, and I've done more jobs than I could remember. My second job ever was I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, were you the mouse?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
That's a great job.
Were you like breakdancing and like smacking around the little kids and stuff?
I know, I wish, but
Did any kids trying to kick you or punch you?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. All the time. But like the costume wasn't made for taller people, so you could like see my ankles like when I had it on and stuff.
I do understand that. I had a Bugs Bunny costume, and there's gloves that went with it. You could see my wrists. So I had my watch on. I wore my watch every day, all the time, before I had my phone. And when I dressed up, my kids didn't know until they saw the watch, and they were like,
"That's Mom's watch."
Yeah,
my mom.
But that wasn't my job. Like I worked as a cook there, but like whenever they needed somebody to be the mouse, they always came in. That's the first person they went is back in the kitchen to get somebody out there, and I was always the mouse. Sucked. I hated that job. I like cooking. I don't like being the mouse.
Did everybody have to share the same hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't wash it, so it smells like it
That's what I'm
smells.
thinking.
Yeah.
Gross.
Were you have like out back, like smoking a cigarette in the mouse costume,
I would
Brendan?
not wear. You gotta take off the big. It's like a big helmet. You gotta take it off, and so like I would do that. And then,
your mascot. That's
Yeah.
that's a pretty good job.
Do you remember the rumor that Chuck E. Cheese used to save all their slices of pizza and put them back together? That's what they
No?
said, that they would like
I
save
remember
the leftover pizza
Yeah.
slices and like put them together to make a new pizza.
Are you kidding? No, I
That's
don't
what they
think
said.
so.
I don't. Hey,
Wow.
Brendan's right here, so I don't think it's true.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never
I
heard
think
that in
it's
my
a
life.
local thing.
Never heard that
Maybe
in my life.
your
My Chuck E. Cheese.
your
Okay.
Chuck E. Cheese was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
you know.
Chris, Joe, what was your craziest job?
I was gonna say they'll be like, "Oh, we need a cheese pizza," and they'll be like, "Oh, Brendan's out as a mouse. Let's just piece
Yeah,
that together." And
pretty much. Yeah.
because the cook isn't in the kitchen.
And then
That's
when
what
I would
just-
when I would take pictures with the kids, I would still smile even though I had the mask on. Like because I would forget all about it.
That's hilarious.
Oh man.
Uh,
Flashback.
you know, though, I bet if Joe, you wear a lot of costumes. Do you have a mask? Do you smile whenever you have a mask on that nobody would see?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
it
sure you do.
probably
I'm sure,
is
probably,
habit.
yeah. I'm sure.
It's probably habit. We need to
Yeah,
get
that's
Ken
what I'm
on and
saying.
ask
That's what I'm
him.
saying.
Yeah. So, what about you, Kristen? What was your oddest job?
I don't know. I've had a lot of like Mary, like diverse jobs, but I don't know. I was the education coordinator at Joanne Fabrics.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is that? What does that entail?
So they used to have classes where they would teach people how to sew or quilt or
Yeah.
crochet or knit or something. And I was the girl that found all the people to teach and then set the schedule so that people would come in and take the classes. And when you go into the store and they're like, "Hey, you should take a class," and they come across the intercom, that was me.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
were you really bummed out when they went out of business?
I was gonna say that's why.
Just there yesterday because it says that they're like 70% off. There's like one little shelf that's 70% off, so it's not ready for your RA yet, Mary.
Yeah,
But it's getting there. It's like,
up
yeah,
to 70% off. Doesn't got to read the fine print,
I know.
right?
It's 50
that why-
to 70.
Is that
I
why they're
don't
going out
know.
of business because they don't have
Yeah,
educators anymore, coordinators?
It's probably
they
what it
needed
is.
you, Kristen. They needed you.
Yeah.
I know.
Without
Well,
you, the business model just fell through.
Fell
they
apart.
put everything online. They went to like this online classes. So
No.
most of the coordinators ended up just like cutting fabric anyway. But when I was in there yesterday and everything's 50 to 70% off, no fabric. There's no fabric in there. So
Man.
yeah.
Where's Joe supposed to get his costumes at now?
Well, where's my daughter supposed to get her yarn so she can crochet?
Oh.
There's a
She's-
ton of yarn in there right now on sale.
Yeah. Oh,
There you
see,
go.
so the one that she goes to, I've been in there with her, and like, there's nothing left already. And that was a
Oh,
month
wow.
ago, at least 2 months ago. Yeah, they were.
Hmm.
I don't know.
She's going to have to start getting her yarn on eBay. And I don't know if you guys know this, but yarn is a huge bolo sometimes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I had a couple years ago. I sold. It was like from the '80s. It was like some Christmas yarn, and I found 6 of them, and I sold them for like $150.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, okay,
You can
there you
find
go.
like
Good to know.
alpaca or, I mean, emu or whatever weird kind of yarn. If you can find alpaca, especially, it can go for hundreds if you get the right skeins. So,
Wow. Okay, that's good to know. That's
and
good
it's
to know.
lightweight when you buy it at the bins. Not that you're going there, Mary, but you
But you might find it RA at Joanne's Fabrics.
yeah.
So,
And we actually do have a resale store down the street, and I do pop in there, and I've actually found yarn in there and sold it.
Yeah.
So I'm not violently against the other ways of sourcing. I just
Good to know. Good to know.
have a way that we typically do it.
It's
Yeah.
less dirty for sure.
There you go. Well, Mary, we appreciate you having you on. Drop that on a Sunday. Somebody told us it's like you need to drop it back to back because I'm waiting for the After Dark episode. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait.
You gotta wait. So, Mary, thank you so much for coming on. Where can
Thank you,
people
Mary.
find you, Mary?
Well, I'm Mary McQueen on Instagram. I run Mike meetups on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, and Mike Becko meetups on YouTube.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, because it's gonna bump us up into the I said eBay algorithm, into the YouTube algorithm.
I mean, if it bumps
We
up my
appreciate
sales, I'll be fine with that.
Bump
too.
it up, baby. Bump it up. So my name is Ray,
I'm Kristen.
I'm Joe.
I'm Brandon.
and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. See y'all, and God bless. Peace.